Hello, and welcome everyone to the first session of the Six Cylinder Success Business Growth Program. I am really excited to have the opportunity to present to you a really unique roadmap that you can follow to achieve success in virtually any business you are coaching, and to show you how to deliver and guarantee significant portions of that success to your clients in as little as 30 to 60 days. I developed the foundations of this system on the battlefield of business, where I served as a CEO of several very successful multi-million-dollar companies, both public and private, over a period of almost 20 years. And since 1999, I've been working as a business coach and advisor, so I know the system works. I also know it can help you to completely turn around your coaching business in just a few months. That's a big claim, I know. But let me tell you why I say it. Since I began my career in the business advisory space in 1999, I've met hundreds of business coaches, advisors, and consultants. Some of them successful, many more not very successful at all. And I discovered a common thread among all of them. The most successful coaches and advisors had a broad range of skills and experience that helped them to address virtually any situation their clients faced. The least successful of them were the one-trick ponies, with only one or two skills they were able to bring to bear, and which were often not the right skills. And that made all the difference. Let's look at an analogy. I'm sure many of you, even if you're not big fans of auto racing, have probably heard of the Daytona 500 or the 24 Hours of Le Mans. These race cars travel at amazingly high speeds for long periods of time, and every so often have to come into the pits for service. Their highly trained pit crews change all four tires, fuel the car, make adjustments to the suspension and aerodynamic parts, clean the windshield, hydrate the driver, and get the car back out on the track in about 6.5 seconds, sometimes even less. Amazing, isn't it? Just compare that to how long it takes the average normal driver to put gas in their car at a gas station. In fact, the reason these pit crews can perform these astonishing feats over and over again is the fact that they have every tool they need at their disposal to do whatever job may be required on that race car, and they are trained on how to use them. So, what do you think would happen to these race teams if the pit crews failed to meet those incredible standards? Let me give you an example. In the 2019 Italian Grand Prix, one of the major Grand Prix races in Formula One racing, and covering some 200 miles, Ferrari beat Mercedes by less than 1 second. That race was won in the pits, not on the track. And so it is with business coaching. You need a complete box of tools, and you need to know which one to pull out and how to use it if you want to play at the top of this game. And that's what this program is going to teach you. Every tool you'll need and when and how to use it. This session is going to give you an overview of those tools. And in every succeeding session, we will drill down into each of them until they become part of your coaching DNA. We'll show you how to get results and how to get them fast. To solidify your confidence and, more importantly, your client's confidence that you are at the top of the coaching game, and it will take you both to an entirely new level of performance. Master these techniques, and I promise you, you'll get off the hamster wheel of continually chasing to get clients. Instead, you'll reduce the amount of time you need to spend doing that, have more time to continue to build your coaching skills, and keep your clients for years instead of weeks or months. This program will teach you how to do that, and do it at 4 and possibly even 5-figure monthly retainer rates. You'll be able to confidently tell your prospects that none of that fee will ever come out of their pockets, because you're going to deliver results in as little as 30 days. How much easier do you think that will make it for you to sign up and retain clients at will? One note of caution, however, this program is not for everyone. Seriously, that's not marketing hype. It isn't. Because not every coach out there has the ability or the desire to do the work it requires. I am not promising you it's going to be easy. What I am promising it's going to be worth it. But first, a quick bit of housekeeping to get out of the way. Please remember that the material that's presented in this program is the sole property of my company, MCA Consulting Services. You are free to use the information it contains, but not the actual content, by which I mean slides, graphics, without my prior written permission. Although some of it I will give to you to use. Interested in learning more? Let's get started with lesson 1. I'd like to tell you that in using this program over the last 20 years, I have had great success with this program. I personally work 3.5 to 4 days a week. I am comfortably in 5 figures a month in my revenue, and I almost never, maybe once or twice a year at the most, any marketing or promotional activities to generate customers, because my average customer is with me a little over 3 years. And I'm hoping to be able to do the same thing for you. I will tell you, I have not met anyone in the business advisory services space that is doing this. So I am just honored and privileged and more than happy to share this with you guys, because I know how tough it can be to be a business coach. I don't even use that title for myself anymore, because I think a lot of the people that are in that profession, frankly, have no business being there. They just really don't have the experience and the training to help their clients the way they should. But when you're done with this program, you guys are going to be unstoppable. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, my conversion rate using the techniques in this program is well above 50%. And I don't go out there trying to generate a lot of customers. So let's get started and talk a little bit about today's world of business coaching. What you see here is my model of what I call the ideal business coaching world. You attract the ideal clients, you convert many of them to customers, you're able to coach them very quickly for results, and in response, you develop raving fans who help you through referrals to get more ideal customers. I will tell you, I operate a lot in this space. So the ideal coaching cycle has the attraction of quality prospects, a high conversion rate. This is key, the ability to generate significant near-term results. Remember that. There are going to be a few takeaways from this presentation today. That's one of them. We'll come back to that later. The tangible results you generate open additional possibilities. What does that mean? Well, if you have a customer who's got financial problems, they're not going to hear very much of what you say until those financial problems start seeing relief. But when they do, all kinds of other possibilities open up. And I can tell you that with every single one of my customers. Once we get them past the financial challenges, they start to see things in operations and organization and structure and systems and recruiting and people. And that's why my customers stay with me far beyond when I get them the financial relief, because in addition to that, I'm free. I cover my fee in the first 30 to 60 days, and I'm free from there on in. And that's what we're going to teach you how to do here. So when you have these possibilities, you keep clients. And when you keep clients, you have your revenue is a lot more predictable. And so you don't have to spend a lot of time promoting your services, and you leave yourself more time for the coaching process. So this cycle is a cycle that progresses very slowly from the beginning of the attraction of the prospects, to the time at which you need to start thinking about generating new prospects is years. It's not months or even weeks. Now let's talk about the real world of many business coaches. And I'm not saying that all of you are in this world, but a lot of people are, and I'll show you why in a minute. You end up attracting what I call non-ideal prospects, as I used to do years ago. Anybody that could sign up and had a checkbook, that was what I needed. Your conversion rate is weak, and I'll show you why that is in a minute. There is difficulty generating near-term results, which results in lack of client retention. And so the cycle just spins very quickly into something I call the business coach's dilemma. Because if you're not able to retain the clients that you convert, you are spending a lot of your time on prospecting and marketing and a lot less time on coaching. And you can hear it with some of these coaches on the Facebook page. People are out there working really hard to generate clients. And then with some of them, and maybe none of you, but certainly some of the newer coaches, when they get the clients, they say, okay, I just landed this dental practice. What the heck do I do next? Well, that's going to be a retention problem if you don't know what to do. And what the problem is, you probably don't have all the tools you need. So that's what we're going to talk about in this program. We're going to build you a toolbox of basically anything you will need to deal with any situation that comes up. So the result of the real business coaching cycle is you don't get the right people. You don't have a high conversion rate. And again, I put this in bold, lack of significant near-term results. This is the magic ingredient for a successful coaching practice. Trust me. Clients don't stay around. Your income doesn't stay around either. So you need to do much more promotion, and that limits the amount of time that you can coach the people you have and also the number of people you can coach. So that cycle progresses quickly. We want this cycle to progress in terms of years and not in terms of weeks or months. Okay. So here's the result. And I don't know about other countries. I know the United States because I researched it. There are about 88,000 people in the United States who identify themselves as business coaches, not life coaches, not relationship coaches, not wellness coaches, business coaches. And their average annual income is $50,000 a year. Why would you want to take business advice from these people? They can't even make money for themselves. And that's what a lot of people say. That's the facts. And the reason is they don't have all the tools they need. So my question to myself was, why is this happening? And I say it's happening because many business owners and many business coaches believe one of the following myths. Number one, the way to build a business is to follow your dreams and believe in yourself. There are a lot of business coaches out there who are what I call business psychologists. They're sitting there telling you about writing down your hopes and dreams for the next couple of years. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, this just happened to me. One of my former customers from probably 15 years ago called me up and said he had moved into a different business. He had an automotive repair shop, which I helped him with, and we had great results. And if you go on my LinkedIn page, you'll see his testimonial that I helped him really build that business. He's now, in the last couple of years, moved into automobile restoration, which is a very different business. And I happen to be a hobbyist, so I know something about this. And he called me up and he said, I need to talk to you. He said, I didn't know what you were doing. I didn't know if you were retired. I didn't know if you were still out of the state. But having all these problems with my company, I brought in this business coach. And the first thing he told me was to write down my hopes and dreams for the next 3 years. And I looked at him and I said, I know what my hopes and dreams are. I need to run a damn business. Fired him on the spot. And now I'm calling you to see if you can help me. I had my first meeting with him last week, showed him a few things on the financial end. He said, this is exactly what I need. Let's just do this every week. I'm only charging him $1,500 a month because he's having cash flow problems. And that's about the lowest price customer I have. The second myth that business coaches believe is that the only way to build a business is with lead generation strategies followed by conversion. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that because there are many cases where you should. Um, you should do it if you're a startup. You need customers. But to me, there's a big difference. My definition of building a business is building the bottom line. I would love to have lower revenue and a big bottom line because I'm lazy. Um, so remember, this is a tool. The lead generation strategy is a tool. It's an important tool, but it should not be your only tool. So let's look at a couple of real world case studies, okay? Here's the first one. Bob Hacksaw. The names have changed, obviously. He owns a remodeling business, and thanks to the economic upturn, he's got all the business he can handle. And he told me he doesn't do any marketing. He's also going broke. He can't set aside any money for his kids' education, pay his bills, and his wife, who I met, is on the verge of a nervous breakdown. He needs a solution, and fast. Mary Binary. She's grown a digital marketing business from startup to a very successful and profitable $1.5 million revenue business. But she's working 80 hours a week and she's burning out. She knows she has to build a structure underneath herself and has no idea how to do it, but is scared to death that she's going to screw it up and ruin her business. Case 3, Fred Loophole. He's a legal sole practitioner and he's never really made any real money. His admin assistant, who knows you, is really convinced the firm is going to close down and she's going to lose her job. So Jane calls you and asks you to help turn around the company. She doesn't think they have much time. And the final case is Peter Moneybags. He's a partner in an investment group. They specialize in buying and reselling middle market companies. Their ownership period is typically 5 to 7 years. And they are due to sell one of their portfolio companies. But unfortunately, the year is 2010. The company's been hammered by the economic downturn. Sales are in free fall and profits are plummeting. They have asked you to come in at the height of the recession and turn things around. So my question to you is, what do all of these situations have in common? What they have in common is two things. Number one, none of these problems are going to be solved with a marketing program. Not one. And number two, every single one of these situations has been a customer of mine or is a customer of mine. So we have to reach into different parts of our toolbox to deal with what these people are doing. A marketing program is not going to help them. Not these people, anyway. So the question is, how do we go from here, this non-ideal coaching world, to here, the ideal coaching world, where we make lots of money and we keep customers for a long time? And I'll tell you how very simply. But first, let's look at the root causes. Symptom, non-ideal prospect attraction. Why? Because we need revenue, so we take anybody. We don't have enough raving fans, and we don't have a unique message. Secondly, conversion rates are weak. We have a failure to educate prospects. The benefits we promote are kind of vague, and we don't have a guarantee. Think about it. If your solution is a marketing program, and that might be the right solution depending on the situation, it's very hard to guarantee a result because, as we all know, marketing is tough these days, and it might not work even with the best. And you'll, by the way, in my 6-cylinder presentation over the next few months, you're not going to see any reference to marketing. It is part of my program, but you can't find a better system out there. So I'm not going to waste your time with something you already know. The problem with a marketing program, however, it's very tough to guarantee, but imagine if you could. Imagine if you could go to a client and say, this is what's going to happen in the next 30 days if you do what I tell you. Here's what we're going to do, and here's what the result's going to be. I do it all the time. And I give people They say, well, yeah, well, these coaches guarantee us if you sign a 12-month contract, um, and we agree on the goals at the beginning, and if in 12 months, if we don't get there, they will continue to coach me for free until we do. Really? If I can't make you money while you're paying me in 12 months, what do you think's going to happen if you're not paying me? That's ridiculous. I tell my clients, if I don't get you at least my fee in 30 days, I'll give you all your money back if you want, and I'll put it in writing. That's simple. I have never returned a dollar ever in 20 years. I've fired people. I've told people, you're not doing the work, because I tell them, when you work with me, there are only three conditions. And if these three conditions are okay, we're going to get along fine. Condition number one is this program has to have the same high priority as the best, most important things in your business. Don't ignore it. Don't think because you write me a check, you're going to get a result. And don't, say, oh, it's Tuesday night. I'm meeting with Frank tomorrow. I better do something. I can smell that a mile away. It's got to have priority. Number two, where you are in your business is the end result of your best thinking and effort. I mean, you've done your best and you don't like where you are. So you have to be open to the fact that you might have to do something different, which is why I'm here. And some of the things I ask you to do may seem uncomfortable, or you may not even understand them completely. You got to trust me, because what you're doing isn't working. And number three, I never want to chase you to get paid. If you're okay with those three conditions, we've got a relationship. But we can review that relationship every single month. You don't sign a contract. At the end of any month, if either one of us is unhappy, we shake hands, we're friends, and we move on. And I've never had people leave in a very short time, except people who weren't doing the work. Um, Absence of near-term results, that is, your toolbox has tools missing, and short-term client retention. Uh, again, we don't have the all of the above. So how are we going to do this? We're going to teach you to think like a CEO. And I say this to prospects out there when they ask me, or they say to me, there are lots of people out there that claim to do what you do. My response is, I know it's confusing. Let me tell you how to cut through the clutter. Just ask them one question, and here's the question. Have you ever signed the front of a paycheck? Because when you learn to think like a CEO, you understand that there's a lot of waterfront to keep your eye on. It's not just one area. I believe the six-cylinder success system is the missing link in business coaching. And I say this because I don't know anyone else who's doing it. I've never met anyone else in this space who's doing this kind of thing. And this program is going to give you an arsenal of skills that are going to equip you to deal with just about any business challenge your prospects may have. You're going to turn the traditional world of business coaching on its head, because a lot of these guys are one-trick ponies. And if their solution doesn't fit you, you're not going to make it. This will distinguish you in the community of business coaches who are trying to make a living. It'll help you get the best customers. And I do turn away prospects and say you're not qualified. It will get you off this, what I call the hamster wheel of continually needing to market your services. When you do focus groups, you do 10K challenges, you won't need to do them nearly as often, because you're going to convert people and be able to tell them what you're going to do in the first 30 days. And you're going to make a lot of money. I make a lot of money at this. And I don't work every day, and I don't work weekends. And this is what it looks like. You'll pardon the analogy to an automotive engine, but this is an inline six-cylinder engine. And I say this partly because it's the first thing that pops into my mind when I realize that there are 6 areas that you have to master in order to really help a business. For example, a lot of people don't realize these things are connected, as they are in this illustration. You want to double your sales volume tomorrow? Easy. Cut your prices in half. You'll double your volume. Maybe you'll triple your volume. But what else is going to happen? Well, you might not make money. you might drive your CFO crazy. Your operations people are going to have to work overtime to make all the stuff you sell while you're not making money. You're going to need a working capital line of credit to boost your inventory because you need a lot of material and you have to hire more people. And all of these things are connected and it's going to be a mess. But if your only goal is to double the volume of widgets you sell, that'd be fine. But in my system and in a CEO's viewpoint, all of these things are connected. So you're going to see this a few times as we go through this program. And we're going to take every one of these steps and show what they are and how they connect to the other steps. So when you get done, you're going to be able to, it's going to be in your DNA. You're going to be able to just do this without even thinking about it. Remember this quote, please. This is another takeaway from this presentation. When you attack a problem on multiple fronts using proven, tested methods, the chances of near-term dramatic success increase exponentially. When you attack a problem on one front, you better hope it works. And in my world, hope is not a business strategy. Hope to me is what I do in church on Sunday, but it's not a business strategy. So you've got to have many, many tools in that box. So let me ask you a question. You hear people talk about business growth. What is business growth? Is it revenue or is it profit? And you very often hear the terms revenue and profit interchanged and confused. They're not the same thing. Revenue is the dollar volume of sales you generate. Profit is the money that goes in your pocket. And face it, people are in business to put money in their pocket. The problem is a lot of business owners don't know the difference. They think the answer to everything is revenue growth. I have a recent customer came on a couple months ago, and it's one of the cases I showed you. He's a remodeler, and he's going broke, even though he has all the work he can handle. And I said, show me a quotation that you've done recently. And he took out a $29,000 quotation for a kitchen remodel. And I said to him, how much profit did you build into this quotation? I swear I'm not making this up. He looked at me and said, I have absolutely no idea. I said, you're driving 100 miles an hour with your eyes closed. You're bound to crash into something. You've got to learn the proper technique for pricing. And by the way, a little later in this program, you're going to realize that a lot of your prospects and customers have no idea how to do pricing. They think they do, but they don't. So revenue is sales generated dollars, profit is money in your pocket. I'm much more interested in the second one. So here are two companies in the same industry. Company one has revenue of $1 million. They're making a profit of 150,000. Company two has sales of only 850. Their profit is 250. Which company is doing better? Well, on the surface, it sure seems like company two is doing better. But the answer actually is it depends. And we're going to teach you in this program how to look at a financial statement. And one of the primary things a financial statement does, if you understand it, is to force you to ask the question, why? Why is this company making more money? Maybe company one is doing something different that's going to really bring great returns next year, but we don't know. Here's another one. This is the same company, I call it company three. They had revenue that fluctuated over 3 years, as did their profit. But look at their profit percent as a percent of sales. Is this company, if you're on the board of directors, is this company on the right track or not? It depends. There's a lot more to dig into here. You can't just make a decision based on the revenue level, or even in this case, the profit level. We're going to teach you how to really dissect these things and become What I like to be called the Columbo of the balance sheet. You're going to be able to be a detective and find out how this is going to point you to where to look in your company. So let's start with cylinder number one, which is strategy. Okay. What is strategy? Well, there's two kinds of strategy. There's long-term strategy, which is ultimately, if you ever got there, what is your company going to become? And what is your end game? Are you going to leave this to your kids? Are you going to sell it? What are you going to do with it? Okay. Maybe you're going to be acquired by somebody. And then there's a short-term strategy, which is how do I get where I want to go? Here's a long-term strategy example. To be the leading kitchen and bath remodeler in Bucks County, PA, which is where I happen to live. To establish a nationwide franchise of XYZ home electrical repair centers. And the third one is my favorite. I don't know if any of you know what Google's strategy was. With these two guys sitting in a dorm room in college, this was their long-term strategy. To organize all of the world's information and make it available to everyone. That one blows me away. But then there's short-term strategy, and I've used this many times. By the way, this is another takeaway. You will never find this in a textbook. I was very fortunate some 20 years ago to have the counsel of a really good consultant who showed me this, and boy, does it work. So this is a takeaway you might want to pay attention to. Let's say your customer is in a particular business, and in that business, let's say he's in, let's just say home remodeling to make it simple, okay? And in your country, or in the world if you want, the home remodeling market has a certain size in dollars. It's, $500 billion. Well, in that market, you may not have every product and service that applies to all of the people that spend money in that market. For example, you might be a kitchen and bath remodeler. You don't do additions on houses, you don't do finished basements. So you have something called product coverage. It's a certain percent of the total market. Now, the product coverage you have is only available in a certain percent of the market because you may not cover the entire country. You certainly don't cover the entire world. So that's another percent. So you have a market of a certain size, your product serves a certain percentage of the needs in that market, and you make it available in a certain geographic territory. And now, in the territory in which you operate, there is, you don't know about every possible opportunity. You don't know about every single family or person that's looking for a remodeling service that fits what you do. So that's less than perfect as well. And then of the opportunities that you do know about, you're successful in acquiring a certain percentage of those opportunities, probably not 100%. Again, market size in dollars, your product covers a percentage of those needs in a certain geography in which you know a certain percent of the opportunities available and in which you can get a certain conversion rate of the opportunities. The question is, what happens when you multiply all these things together? What do you get? You get revenue. You take that market size and multiply it by those percentages, and you will get your revenue dollars. And the point is, you probably know a lot of these numbers, or your customer does. Now, here's the takeaway. And I use this in a turnaround I'm going to tell you about later on. Any change in any of those 5 elements on the left has exactly the same effect on the revenue. If the market grows 10% and everything else stays the same, your revenue goes up 10%. If your product offering goes up 10%, if your market coverage goes up 10%. Any one of them has exactly the same effect, but not each of them is equally easy to do. And in fact, the market size, you have no control over. Now, when I took over that company that was in trouble in the recession, the market size was shrinking. And my response to the board of directors was, so what? You're a $24 million company. You're not General Electric. You're not a $100 billion company that has to ship 10 billion a month to stay even. Your market's infinite. But since the market's shrinking, we can offset the shrinking of the market, not by product coverage, because that's expensive and you guys don't have a lot of money. But how about expanding our market coverage, increasing our distribution? How about training our salespeople to improve their conversion rate? And that's exactly what I did. And you'll see that in one of the sessions that we do down the road here. This is a very, very powerful tool that you will never find in a textbook. So if you can, either copy it now or revisit it on the recording. You can use this with your customers as well. And this is where they can make a lot of money without spending, anything to do it. So that's a short-term market strategy. Sales and marketing, not going to spend a lot of time today. We're not going to spend any time on marketing, but that's the second cylinder. And there's a myth here. I used to believe this because I used to be terrible at sales, that great salespeople are born, not made. It's not true. We're going to spend a session, maybe a little more than a session, on something called the Action Selling Program that breaks selling into a system. And I have taught, I am not making this up, I have taught CPAs who are not necessarily the best salespeople in the world to become killer salespeople. And if you doubt it, go on my LinkedIn page and take a look at some of my testimonials. This is the system that taught me to sell. Operations. Cylinder number 3. It's the controlled running of your day-to-day business. And a lot of people think they have that nailed down. They don't. Effective operations management is one of the most important tools in profit improvement. It really is. So the controlled operation of a business, again, we're just doing treetops here. We'll get into this in depth. But you need standards, metrics, how do you measure things, project management, boundaries, very important, feedback and corrective action, and a Japanese technique. I've spent many years in Japan learning Kaizen, which was actually introduced by Toyota. The Toyota production system is a world-class standard. And Kaizen is a Japanese word that means continuous improvement. People, cylinder number 4. They are the lifeblood of your business. And at some point, if you have a time for money model, you need to hire people to leverage your business or you can't grow. But if you hire the wrong people, they will put you out of business. And so what's the biggest complaint you get? I can't get good people. I tell business owners, you know what? You get the people you deserve because you have the wrong selection process, the wrong onboarding process, the wrong communication process, and the wrong set of expectations. Your customers don't have a clue how to hire people. And believe it or not, this is a really big deal, especially in today's tight labor market, because this is the first time in, I think it's 20 years, I read in the Wall Street Journal, that the availability of jobs outstrips the number of people who are available to fill them. So this is becoming a very, very important topic in the small business community. Systems. This is your roadmap for growth. This is the bridge to transition to your leverage, your operating leverage. If you're new people, I personally believe that 99% of people want to do a good job. I don't believe they're lazy or stupid or devious, but they may not know what you think a good job is. And if they don't know what you think it is, they're going to create their own answer. They need a roadmap. And they will take away the fear of entrepreneurs who think that if they hire new people, they might lose the secret sauce that made them successful in the first place. They're your insurance policy for the future. Okay, now we get to cylinder 6, which is finance. And in fact, this is where we're going to start this program, because this is where you're going to make your big impact right away. Nobody's going to hear about the other 5 cylinders till you do this. So let's take a look at an introduction to the finance piece. This is another one of my quotes. Understanding of business finance is the key to unlocking the greatest profitability in a business with the least amount of effort. It really is. And I want you to start off by understanding business finance is not accounting. If you say to your customer, who does the finance part of your business, and they say my accountant, that is a giant red flag. Your accountant does not do business finance. They do your tax returns, they assemble information, they prepare accurate statements, they are concerned with checks and balances within the business and compliance. This is not business finance, this is accounting. The business finance piece begins where the accountant's job ends. And business finance is sexy when you understand how to do it. So your customer is going to say, I got all this other stuff to worry about in my company. What the heck do I need to worry about finance for? Well, you know what? You need to worry about all 6 of these cylinders. You can't just pick and choose which cylinders, because if you only want to work on 2 or 3 of them, you're done. You're never going to make it. So save yourself a lot of aggravation. Doesn't matter whether you love it or you don't. But business finance, which I knew nothing about many years ago, is actually one of my favorites now, because there's so much information there if you just know how to unlock it. And when I say business finance, I don't mean I know how to go line by line and say, oh, this is what revenue means. This is what variable cost means. That's not what I'm talking about. And we're going to spend probably 4 or 5 sessions on that. And you guys are going to become experts on how to dissect a financial statement. The financial statement's a scorecard. Imagine going to see your favorite local sports team and you watch the match and they didn't keep score. I mean, how much fun would that be? It is going to show you, when you know how to interpret it, what's working and what isn't in ways the rest of your observations will never show you. You can't see those things. It also helps you measure so you can control and track the results you're getting. It helps planning. Lenders love it when they know you understand and follow your financials. Your customers who do that will have so much of an advantage when it comes to generating loans and working capital lines of credit and so forth, and even when it comes to selling their business. And most competitors, including your own competitors as business coaches, do not have a clue on business finance. I was at the LPW conference in Punta Cana 2 years ago, and I did a presentation on basic business finance. And one of the coaches came up to me after it was over. He said to me, I've been a CPA for 30 years. I have never seen the stuff that you just showed us. And that's what you guys are going to learn in this program. You're going to come away with what I call the financial Swiss Army knife, consisting of the profit and loss statement, the balance sheet. These are your tools: the statement of cash flows, operating budgets, key ratios, and understanding trend analysis. This is the key to your 30-day guarantee. And here's how you do it. Let's take a 1-month profit and loss statement for a company we'll call ABC. Some of you may not understand this stuff. Many of you will. I'm assuming that we have a very rudimentary knowledge of business finance, so I apologize to those of you who are more sophisticated, but please bear with us for this session. This company had 1 month revenue of $25,000, so they're a $300,000 a year company, well under the million level. Their cost of goods sold was $15,000, so their gross profit was $10,000. Their fixed expenses were $4,000, so this company had has a monthly income before tax and so forth of $6,000. And let's assume that your fee is $2,000. Okay? Now, we want to help this business make more money. So we are going to institute a marketing program. And let's assume that the marketing program doesn't cost anything, because LPW has a number of many techniques that you can put in where you don't have to spend money and you can still boost the number of leads that are generated. And let's say then in a month, you can boost their revenue by 5%, which is actually a little optimistic because marketing doesn't usually work that quickly. But let's just, to be conservative, say it does. So your revenue goes from 25,000 to 26,250. Your cost of goods, which is, let's see, 3/5, 60% of your revenue, increases to 15,750. And so you've increased your gross profit by $500. Your overhead expense hasn't changed because your marketing fee is free, but your fee is $2,000. So you've increased the overhead expense from $4,000 to $6,000. And so the profitability, the net income, has decreased by $1,500. You got to wait for this to kick in, but we've already assumed it kicked in by 5%. Okay? Here's my quote again. When you attack a problem on multiple fronts, your chances of success increase exponentially. When you attack it on a single front, you better hope it works. I would never go at this problem on a single front. Here's what I do. I have them implement a price increase of 5%. Now, you're going to get pushback on that, and if you just be patient for a few slides, I'll show you why and how you can convince your customer not to worry about it. But let's just assume for now, we increase prices 5% to 26,250. I'm also going to introduce techniques to reduce their variable cost by 5%. I don't expect you to know how to do that right now. This is part of the program, but it's the cost of producing the product or services that go along with the sales. So we reduced that to 14,250, and now my profitability has increased from 10,000 to $12,000. I'm also going to take 5% out of my overhead. I can take 5% out of anything and nobody will ever see it. In this case, 5% of $4,000 is $200. I'm not sure that anybody would have difficulty doing that. And we're going to talk about that as well. But I'm going to add my fee in. So I reduce this by 200 and I add my $2,000 fee. I'm at $5,800. And my profitability has actually ticked up a little bit. I've not only covered my fee, but I've made them a few hundred extra bucks. Now, admittedly, this is just a representative example. There's many different combinations here. I'm just trying to show you the ability of attacking problems on a multiple front increases your chances of success dramatically. And we're going to learn how to do all of this as we go into this program. So now let's take a look at using a marketing program only versus the 6-cylinder success approach. Typically in a marketing program, let's be realistic, it may not get results in 30 days. It might take 60 to 90 days or even more. In 6-cylinder, you can do it in 30 or even less. There's some risk. There's almost no risk in this approach. Marketing could incur some costs, but in this approach, it's free. Initially, in this case, the bottom line shrinks. In this case, it slightly increases. In the marketing program, you can't guarantee success or when it might occur, but you can with this because it's like zero risk. So this is just an example of how this multiple approach works. Great, but how do I do it? Well, here's what you do. And we're not going to get into this today because as I said, I can't give you a 90-minute silver bullet here. But to raise prices, you need to be expert in the finance and marketing cylinders. To reduce your variable cost of goods sold, You need to be skilled in the operations and strategy cylinders. And to reduce overhead, you need finance, systems, and people. Anybody see how many cylinders we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cylinders. You need them all to do this. So we talked about price increases a minute ago. Let's see how we deal with price increases. Another takeaway. Your finance cylinder will help you decide. First question to ask your customer. Mr. Customer, how do you set your pricing? I promise you, you're going to get one of two answers. Either we kind of do what the market's charging, or I estimate my cost and put a markup on it. Neither one of those is an acceptable answer, but you will probably get one of those two answers. Second question. When was the last time you raised your pricing? I don't remember. I'm afraid to. I don't raise prices because what? Lower prices mean I'm going to get more customers, which is good, but higher prices means I'm going to lose customers, and that's bad. This is another myth, and you guys, as professional business coaches, you're supposed to know better than to believe these myths, okay? Because your customers don't know this stuff. They don't know. They think that lead generation is the only way to grow a business. Having the right attitude is the only way to grow a business. They believe this crap about lower prices are good and higher prices are bad. Not necessarily so. Let me show you what I mean. If any of you have ever taken an economics course, you see something called a demand curve. That's what this is. It says when your price is high, your volume of sales is small. When your price is low, your volume of sales is much higher, right? That's why we sell more Hyundais than we sell Ferraris, okay? That's the theory anyway. Here's the reality of your business owner. You have no idea what your demand curve looks like. All you know is this is my price today, and this is how much I sell. You have no idea what this curve looks like. So of course you're afraid of making a price change. But I know somehow if my price comes down, I'm going to sell more stuff. And that's a good thing. Not necessarily. Let me show you why. Let's take a look at various price changes on a $60 product. Of course, a product that costs $60 to produce. And I'm going to assume, for purposes of this example, that it costs me $60 and I can sell it. My current price is $100. Okay? So let's just concentrate on the first line here. My current price is $100. I sell $100 a month. And so my unit profit is $40, right? It costs me $60. I sell it for $100. I make a profit of $40 on every unit. So my monthly profit is $40 times 100 units, or $4,000. Okay? Well, Mr. Customer, what if I raise my prices 20% to $120? Oh my God, that would be terrible. I would lose customers. Well, how many do you think you might lose? I don't know, 20? Okay. So now I have 80 customers. Okay. My unit profit is now $60 a unit, and I sell 80 of them. My profit actually went up. Would I do this? Of course I would. I have fewer customers to service, and I make more money. Well, what if I drop my price 20%? Well, I might get 140 customers. Not even 120, 140. Okay. What happens then? Well, I have $80 in price. It still costs me $60 to produce. So my unit profit's 20 bucks. 20 times 140, I only make $2,800. I've got more customers to service, and I'm making a heck of a lot less money than I was making to start. What about if I raise my price 120 and maybe my volume drops even more? It dropped to 70. Okay, I make $60 a unit times 70. I make 4,200 bucks. I still make a little bit more money, and I've got 30 fewer customers to service. So with this, the question is, where are you indifferent to the result? You're indifferent at any combination of price and volume that keeps you at or above $4,000. And I didn't put this in this presentation because it's too detailed, but you can figure out what that looks like mathematically. I will show you that in this program. And so you can construct what I call an artificial demand curve, which I guess I have it out of sequence here. But it's the locus of points where you have a combination of price and volume that gives you $4,000 profit. Anything above that point is profit. Anything below that point you don't want to do. So let's look at some examples. This is the remodeler I told you about, who had no idea what his profit was. I started working with him in April. His first 3 months, his average monthly revenue was $11,000. So he's not that big. His gross profit was 24% according to his financial statements. Who knows? And his net income was 2,100 bucks, and he was going broke. The first month I worked with him, we changed his pricing methodology to something I'm going to explain to you later on. His revenue went to 16,500. I put basically 5,500 bucks in his pocket at a higher profit margin, and his net income was 5,200 bucks. That more than covered my fee because I wasn't charging him 20,000 or 2,000 or 2,500. I started him off at a lower rate to help him build his cash flow. In May, we increased it further to 19,800. His profit went up a little bit more, and his net income was 6,400 bucks. I've covered my fee in the first 30 days, and he, and more importantly, his wife, are very happy campers right now. Here's an attorney, also not a very big business, okay? This is what he did in the second quarter of 2017 before I met him. This is what he did after 1 quarter with me. His gross profit's not applicable because they don't have a lot of direct expenses on their services. He was making 23.6 here. He's upped that to 43.7 in 1 quarter of work. He's upped his earnings 85%. Here's an HVAC contractor. He's been with me a couple of years. His year-to-date through 8 months in 2015, revenue, cost, here's his gross profit, here's his income. On sales of 1.1 million, he's got a net income of about 127,000 bucks. And I said to him, what do you want to do next year? I want to go into residential. I want to do this. Listen, how about we do this 5-5-5 strategy? Keep your revenue pretty much flat. He raised his prices a little bit. He raised his gross profit a lot because look at what we did to his variable cost. Okay. His GP went from 36.5. And by the way, when you read a profit and loss statement, that's the most important number on the page. Very often overlooked. Look what happened to his net income. On sales that were a little bit up, his bottom line went to 170% improvement from 127 to $342,000. This is what this finance cylinder is going to do for you, and that's what we're going to do first. Cabinet manufacturer. This is the $6.5 million company I told you about. This is what they did in 17, 26% GP. I told them they could get 40. I was off by a point. Look what happened to their net income. On sales increases of 13%, their bottom line went up 124%. This is the power of the system you're about to learn. And so we're going to start putting the cylinders together. Next up, we start with business finance basics. We'll be doing that in 2 weeks. Please remember the takeaways. The growth system I showed you here in terms of market size, market coverage, product coverage, etc. The multiple pronged approach, the basic system for applying that multiple pronged approach to get your feedback in 30 days. You're going to have to spend some time on this stuff and really absorb it. Please don't get behind in any of this, because if you do and you go to the next session, you're going to get lost. This is a program that builds one session at a time. If you miss the first session, you'll probably be okay. But if you miss the second or third session, you probably will not be able to get caught up. So I would hope you would take a look at the recording of this thing and review some things and ask me some questions, next time up or even now. And that's pretty much it for today.